much. Montrose, how you feeling tonight? We getting it done. And busting their tail while we at it. Our Prime Minister and political leader, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley. My colleague in the Senate, Senator Rohan Sinanan, Deputy Political Leader, other Deputy Political Leaders, my colleagues, the lower house and the upper house, including our former chairman and leader of the Senate, current leader of the Senate, Senator Franklin Khan, Lady Vice Chairman Camille Robinson-Regis, the Chairman and Executive of the CHAGUANAS East Constituency, Chairman and Executive of CHAGUANAS West, Caroni Central, Caroni East, Couva North, and Couva South. And I want to tell you why I singled out our leader in the Senate, Senator Franklin Khan. We almost didn't make it here tonight. But you know, part of getting it done is that you do it for as long as you need to do it once you get it done. And this is not a party that is any rush to do the right thing. Sometimes doing the right thing takes a little longer. And we had before us in the Senate today a very important piece of legislation. It's called the Bail Amendment Number 2 Bill. And I don't know why the opposition and other people in this country find it difficult to understand that piece of legislation. But I'll tell you this. It is so easy for somebody to walk in here with an AR-15 and level this crowd with one pull of a trigger. And when I stood in the Senate last week, Tuesday, when I spoke on the bill last week, Tuesday, I spoke at length about this AR-15 that young men across this country are carrying. They carry it as though it's a wallet. They fit it down their pants. And I don't know what they plan to do with it, and I don't want to find out. And we found in this country that if you were charged for carrying something as dangerous as an AR-15, you could get bail and walk the streets. And we had to do something about it. And that bill, no matter what they tell you, tell them I say that is the AR-15 bill. Because if you're walking wrong with that, you belong in jail. And you know, there are people in this country, including people here in CHAGUANAS, who want you to be hard on crime, but soft on the criminals. Well, this bill is a dose of hardness for the criminals. And I am waiting to see when this bill goes to the lower house, and it may reach there next week, Leader of the House, it may reach here next week. Because we passed this bill tonight, ladies and gentlemen, not only with the support of the 15 government senators, but with the support of 7 independent senators. And let me tell you this, the score read 22-0, because who did not support did not vote. They abstained. So the UNC must take that on their conscience in the lower house. And all of us will be watching. Because if the UNC do not support that bill, they are telling the country they don't have a problem with a man with an AR-15 down his pants. And I have a problem with that. I listened to my colleague, Minister Sinanan, talk about URP. Well, I know you don't know I have a URP story, but I have one. And my colleague, Senator Avinash Singh, is laughing already. When we came in the government in September 2015, it didn't take them long to reach by me, because the ministry at the time had something called European agriculture. And it didn't take long for $60 million in claims to reach on my desk, with totals, supporters, boosters behind it. And when I looked at the claims, I said to myself, like the rebuild Felicity, 60 million in claims for work done. And I called my colleague, Senator Singh, and he said to me, that was money spent, well, money, it is spent, money that was supposed to be spent during the by-election in CHAGUANAS West. And the idea was that they will go around CHAGUANAS West, they might do this, that, and the other. But ultimately, once the UNC had won in 2015, $60 million would have been paid out of those contracts. And let me juggle your memory a little bit. They had a journalist there building box drain. A journalist who built box drain all over the country, but had a claim for box drain there. So this is no joke. Senator Saddam Hussein needs to do his research. And if he needs help, I have much more about URP that I could share with him. And I listened to my colleague, Senator Rohan Sinanan, use an expression, get away with murder. He said they wanted to get away with murder. Well, I'm afraid to use that expression. But let me tell you something. In live sport, people dead. People dead. And live sport was 2013 to 2015. So when you're talking about our opponents, do not use the words murder and kill easily. Just remember, people have been killed in live sport. A few months ago, we came here in Signature Hall. When I came, I had some support, I know that. But I didn't have a big side. But tonight, we've presented to you 8 outstanding candidates for this CHAGUANAS Borough Corporation. And it is not a simple matter, you know. People say, vote them out. Well, I have been saying, smoke them out. Because you know it have some things when they live in your house for too long. No amount of fly spray, pine sol, nothing will get them out. Cockset would not work on them. You have to light fire and smoke the UNC out of that CHAGUANAS Borough Corporation. You have to smoke them out. And it is about time. How will this part of this country, this is the engine room of Central Trinidad, in the hands of these people who cannot take Central Trinidad forward. And look at what we've presented. Look at who we've presented. Look at our 2 speakers tonight. Who in that CHAGUANAS Corporation could stand and give a speech like Janelle Jo Ryan or Lisa Holder did tonight? And as we made the journey down to CHAGUANAS, I realized right away you may want to hear about land, because you know, no matter how hard we work, the UNC like to say, nothing being done, nothing happening, nothing this, nothing that. I don't blame them for saying that, you know, because when you listen to a lot of us, particularly in the cabinet, you realize we only getting their work done. Things that between 2010 and 2015, they just could not get done. And we have had to get it done. But there is no better illustration of the PNM getting it done on this issue of land. Because I've listened to them on Caroni 1975 Limited. I've listened to them. And tonight, unusually, I've walked with some paper. I walk with some paper because I want to give them some numbers. You see, in the 2003 VSEP in Caroni, there was a commitment to give to those workers a 2-acre parcel of land for those who applied. And there was a commitment to give to those workers a residential parcel of land for those who did not already own a parcel of land. And 7,246 persons applied for a 2-acre parcel of land. And I know because I was there, and they know because they know I was there. Of those 7,246 persons who applied, 127 opted to give up the land. In other words, the government, the state wanted to do a project, and they opted for money instead of the land. 7,246 minus 127. Then you end up with 7,119 people remain. Well, I will tell you this. All the noise they're making about land and land and land. Listen to the number. 6,005 of the 7,119 have already received their leases. Go tell them that. Because those 6,005 leases, you can't blame them, you know. Those people are mainly in UNC constituencies. But here's the problem. You see, when I came to CHAGUANAS East, when I came home to CHAGUANAS East, this lovely constituency, I thought that the UNC was going to come and say, but Clarence don't live there. I thought they were coming to say that. And I really wanted them to say that because I wanted to tell the country. And Wednesday in Grandy, I get a chance for the first time. Tonight, I get a chance for the second time. I really wanted to tell the country. Would you believe? There are 18 UNC members of parliament. Rushton Parry is the only one living in his constituency. Go through it one by one. David Lee in Tong. Fuad Khan in Tong. Tim Gopi Singh in Tong. Padarat from Princess Tong in Roystonia. Ramonia by the golf course in Trinity. Bodo in Gulfview. Monilal in Gulfview. Kamla in Palmis. All I want to continue. Suraj in Lanch Park. So how they will know if the 6,005 people they represent get in the lease? I have to know that for them. And that make my work twice as hard because I have to do the UNC work from 2010 to 2015 and do my work from 2015 to 2020. And we're getting it done. And let me tell you why we have not reached the magical number of 7119. Do the maths, you know. I tell you, 7119. We give out 6,005. Well, we couldn't find 1,114 people. Remember my colleague, the Minister of Social Development, Sherry-Ann Coburn, had an exercise with food card, and she couldn't find 13,000 people. Well, I couldn't find 1,114 people. And we've gone through a process, and some of them have appeared, and as they have appeared, we've given them the lease on behalf of their UNC MPs who don't live in their constituencies and do not know what's going on in their lives, but we know and we're getting it done. We also, as I said, there was a commitment on the residential lots. And 8,855 persons applied for the residential lots. And there were 30 sites all over the, I'm going to say all over the country, all over the UNC part of the country, the yellow. You know election night you see yellow and red? All over the yellow. All over the yellow. And to my surprise, when I came in, the 1 or 2 sites where you could have actually given somebody a lease, it was UNC-controlled corporations that were not signing off on the approvals that will allow you to issue the list. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? CHAGUANAS Borough Corporation, Couva Corporation, Penal Debe, Princestown, but they would not know that. You know why? They're not living in their constituencies, how they will know that. So I have to do their job for them. I end up with about 18 seats, 18 seats, because I have to do, with your support and the cabinet support, to do their job for them. And of those 16 completed sites, 4,274 leases have been given out. The target is 4,504. We've reached 4,274. You understanding what I'm saying? Almost everybody who have to get a residential lot from a completed site has gotten their lease. But they would not know that. You know why? I was not operating like the $60 million in contracts, We had very public distribution of leases. The media was there. It was up on Facebook. I gave the number that come. I gave the number that didn't come. Put up everybody photo. But you know what I said to myself? What better way to pass this information to these UNC MPs by doing the distribution at RNC Complex? That used to be the home of the UNC. That used to be the home of the UNC. That is the home of the Sugar Union. That is where Mr. Nirvan Maharaj has his political party and the union. I make it easy on them. They had to take no taxi to reach a home by them. I have to reach. None of them have ever showed up to a lease distribution where they would have seen their own constituents, not mine. They would have seen their own constituents crossing the stage, collecting their lease from me, standing in front of one of those cameras with instant photos. And as they leave in the stage, they get their photo in an envelope with their deed, and they go on home smiling. You know what I noticed about the ex-Caroni workers? We provided refreshments for them. At every single lease distribution, there was a stack of containers with sandwiches and so on. The first lease distribution, not one container touch. Everybody take their lease and go on home. The second one, same thing. After that, I say, forget the food. Forget the water. Let us focus on giving these people these leases. But there are some incomplete sites, 14 incomplete sites. And I make no apology for those sites being incomplete. Because you know what? If you read in the papers now, you see a case, a civil case going on. A civil case with a $1.2 billion claim. Well, we had to take a decision that those claims and those sites could not be finished until we got to the root of all the corruption that is involved, until we deal with it. And when we clean it up and account to the taxpayers, not only for the money, but the criminal conduct of people on those projects, then we will move on with the distribution. And you know, they will say, we have 4,351 to do. You're doing the maths. We do 4,504 already. We have 4,351 left. And I will tell you this, I'm very happy to say, I got a letter recently, I asked Caroni 1975 Limited. All this work the cabinet has been doing with you, all this thing we've been doing to get these sites completed in these UNC areas to get their constituents with a lease in their hands. And I know those people living in these sites will be very happy with what I'm about to say tonight. Between now and September 2020, we will distribute another 1,255 leases. At the sites we will do it from are the Exchange 2 sites. That is the site at the heart of Couva by National Helicopters, the Exchange 2B and Picton 1. And I will tell them in advance, they could come 355 leases will be given out in January 2020. 900 leases will be given out in May 2020. And in total, by September next year, as we prepare for our next term in government, we would have reached 6,584. And Prime Minister, if I get the opportunity to come back again and finish off the remainder, I wouldn't mind. I have about 1,000 left, and if I get the opportunity to do it, I'll do it. Because I like doing this. I love doing this. So that I listen to them about the grand plans for agriculture. They do this and they do that and they do that. They can't even get the maths right. But I'll tell you this, you know, there's a culture in this country. That sugar factory in Brecon Castle stopped grinding in 2003. UNC or partnership or whatever you call them had 5 years and 3 months to do something about that. They did absolutely nothing. They spent millions and millions on this thing called the Sugar Museum and end up with nothing. But more importantly, they had the Usine St. Madeleine factory and the former refinery where we produce granulated sugar. They did absolutely nothing with that. And they love the idea. If I was MP Padarat, driving past the Usine St. Madeleine factory, and I hear that the PNM is going to take down that factory, sell the scrap, sell the usable parts, and establish a significant high-end, low-end, medium-end residential development there, I would tell the PNM, get it done. Because you had all this time, you're passing there every day, going up to OPM, going up to Accra, I don't know where they used to be. And you are now the member of parliament, and you have a problem with us in government taking down about 5,000 tons of old iron, sticking up in the air, and converting that to what could be an engine room for St. Madeleine, for Derby, for Princestown, for New Grant, for all around, all of Williamsville, Ben Lomond, all them places. And they have a problem with that. And we want to give them more problems because you see that Brecon Castle factory, that will come down too. Because that is a valuable site for Couva. So how could we leave that corporation in Couva in these people's hands? No vision, just old talk. But we are in the business of getting it done, and that is what we plan to do, continue to get it done. And I said to them, I know that we have major problems, in fact, a crisis in state lands. On October 1st, 2018, the day of the budget, I decided to give out some cabinet approvals for leases. And there was a lady called Sheila Mohammed from Point Fortin. And when I handed Sheila her letter, she reached up to me and she said, Minister, it's 60 years of waiting for this, you know. It's 60 years, you know. And that is the reality. The reality is that the average person Senator Singh and I and the cabinet deal with have been waiting for a lease renewal or regularization for 30 or more years. And I listened to them saying, nothing happening, nobody ain't doing nothing, da, da, da. Well, you know what? We've been doing your work for you because you could not even deal with the state. You didn't deal with the Caroni lands, and you did not deal with state lands. And for every unhappy, disgruntled UNC MP that's saying the PNM not doing anything, have a person or 10 or 20 or 25 who will tell you they're very happy with the PNM getting the job done in state lands. Jordan Ciudat from Elliot Trace in Kunopia. Ricky Ramcharan, young farmer, Elliot Trace in Kunopia. Terry Patrick, Sogrim Trace. Alexander Valentine, Elliot Trace. Ajoda Trace. All those are farmers in Tim Gopi Singh's constituency. But Tim would not know that because Tim living in Maraval and I handling his business for him in Kunopia on your behalf and on behalf of the country. He would not know that. Carlson Field, I told my parliamentary colleague, Dr. Bo Tiwari, today, I said, we have dealt with 19 leases in Carlson Field. I thought I should tell him that because I know they're battling for another chance to run again. So I want to give them some help. And I said, Carlson Field alone, we've done 19. And you know those 19 people? They've been waiting for 30 or more years. Bihari, Hari, Motilal, King, Carlson Field. Jeffers from Mamoral. Gill from Daniel Scott Trace in Talparo. Rippler from Depot Road, Longdenville, right down the road, Tim Gopi Singh constituency. Up in the east, Tombason, Streatham Lodge, Jokan Trace up in Carapo, Mondo Nuevo, the food crop project, Susconosco in Santa Cruz. I could go on and on. Listen, when I finish call the land, I will call the ocean too. Because we have been getting it done in this PNM. Up in Northeast, Christine Hill in San Rafael, Turur, La Flor Estate, Maiden Voyage Estate, Wallerfield, Macaulay Land in Vega, Brooklyn Land Settlement. And I will be in Northeast sometime this week giving out another set of approvals to people who know that the PNM has been working and know that the MP would not know because Christine Niwalo Hussein don't live in Komoto, Manzanilla. I just be up there more than she. Orange Grove, call the part of the country. Some farmer, some person with a residential tenancy for state land that has expired, some temple, some masjid, some church, go through the 18 UNC Health constituency and you will meet 50, 25, 100 people wanting to know when they will get their business done. But those people are not complaining, you know, because they understand that if the PNM could deal with the Caroni leases by the thousands, we've already dealt with state lands by the hundreds and we will get to the thousands shortly. They will understand that when it comes to the business of getting it done, the PNM understands how to do that and how to do that well. And you know, as we got close to the general election in 2015, the UNC made a last-ditch effort to do something for the squatters. And they went to Parliament with a bill to deal with the legislation that established the Land Settlement Agency. Because that legislation has a number of sites listed that the LSA can deal with. And politicians have come and gone since that LSA legislation was passed. And all of them have known that there are hundreds of sites beyond what is in that legislation. And that legislation needs to be updated. But the UNC at a last minute effort to take control of Sangre Grande, when they realized that Brent Sancho was not cutting it, decided to go and finally deal with this squatting in Sangre Grande. And of course they failed. They failed. Because if UNC knew about dealing with squatters, they would have done it a long time. Because a lot of people don't realize that when they talk about PNM, the time in government has been almost equally shared from 1986, has been almost equally shared by the two parties, you know. Because whether they call themselves NAR, ANR, UNC, COP, ILP is the same. We know what it is. And if they had a chance, they would have done it. But I will tell you this, in Northeast Trinidad, because people on the public sector payroll had not been minding their business, on that place called the Valencia Long Stretch, my father worked in forestry. And coming from Rio Claro, we traversed that long stretch all the time. In fact, it was a dangerous stretch. The bridge, as you know, you had to stop, and it was a one lane only. And there are parts of Valencia was so dark that people would get killed, overtaken, and all of that. But everybody knew that there was prime forest on either side of the Valencia long stretch. And when you think it was people behind there, cutting trees and making coals, that is not what was happening. People were building houses and establishing themselves there. And as a country, the people charged with the responsibility to deal with that did not do it. So we have inherited a problem. And I will tell you that up in the Valencia long stretch, northeast Trinidad, all those areas, we have a situation now where on 2,600 acres of forest reserve, former forest reserve, there are 5,809 structures. And out of those 5,809, 3,549 are residential structures. And anybody in this country who has tried to break a residential structure, any administration, has found themselves in court. And my colleague, Leader of the House and Minister of Planning and Development, Camille Robinson-Regis, will tell you, we've been in this IDB program of regularizing squatters, particularly in Northeast Trinidad, for more than 20 years. And there has been one stumbling block for us. Up to now, that area is still officially classified as forest reserve. And nobody in this country, no commissioner of state land, conservator of forest or minister or cabinet, can grant a residential lease for forest reserve. So we had to go through a very detailed process as a government. And notwithstanding the fact that this decision to de-reserve or to take away the designation of forest reserve was made by the PNM government twice in the past, all the complications coming out of squatting and coming out of dealing with more than 5,800 structures has caused significant delays. But in government from 2015, we have set ourselves on a path as a government, notwithstanding how we feel about the pervasiveness of squatting, to do right by the people in Northeast Trinidad. We will not turn our backs on more than 3,509 families living in Northeast Trinidad in those circumstances. And no matter what they say to you, I tell you this, nobody but the People's National Movement government could deal with squatting, regularization, spending the money from the IDB, doing the technical work, and putting 3,500 families on the right path. And I don't care if they say that is about politics. I don't care if they say that, because we have to do what is right. And we have to finally address, and not only there, right up the road in Longdenville. I was in Jonestown in Arima 2 weeks ago, Guayaguayari Road in Rio Claro. When you're going up to Brazo Seco, along the roadway, all those people are on state lands. Point Fortin, and even in the UNC areas. But they would not know that squatting taking place in their constituency because they're not there to see that. They're in Maraval. My friend Rudy Indar Singh is in Lapai, Karani. They're not in a position to see that. So the way to fix this, in Sangre Grande, give us a PNM control corporation so that when the documents go for approval for our squatter regularization program, it will be approved. In CHAGUANAS, smoke them out. Don't just vote them out and give us a CHAGUANAS control borough corporation in Couva. No matter what they say about we have 13 and you have 1 and all of that, we have the power to change that. Because if Couva gets in the hand of the PNM, from Brecon Castle, right up the road to Grand Couva, down the road, Basta Hall, I know Mr. Indar Singh can control what is happening in Basta Hall. I know that. I know that. Start off with us giving us it in the corporation, and in 2020, we'll take it in the general election from you and help you with it. I want to thank you very much, CHAGUANAS, Couva, Couva North, Couva South. Since I've come back, because I was here before, we've had a good time. I've met some warm and wonderful people. I've met some people who are very focused. And most importantly, I've met people who understand that come 2020, CHAGUANAS East must be at the forefront. CHAGUANAS East must get the job done. And if you do that, the very first thing I will do is move into this constituency and live. Because I don't want anybody going on a platform and saying that Rambharat don't know what's going on in CHAGUANAS East because he don't live there. Thank you very much.